So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a really short video. It's about 3 minutes, and it should be amusing and also illustrative.
I don't believe you. I'm sorry.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, I don't believe anything you're saying.
Excuse me, do you have a few minutes to play the easiest quiz of all time?
I do, actually.
This is how it works. I'm gonna ask you a question. You can do whatever you want. There are no rules.
No rules.
There's no rules. Are you ready?
Yes.
Finish this iconic film quote, blank. I am your father.
I'm gonna go with A, Luke.
Luke.
Luke, I am your father?
Wrong! It is actually, no, I am your father.
I don't believe you.
Number 2, which accessory does the Monopoly mascot wear?
Okay, I'm picturing in my head.
I think a monocle?
Monocle.
A monocle.
Incorrect. It's actually none of the above.
That was my second choice.
You've got me doubting myself now.
Maybe you'll get this one. What is the name of the firefighting bear?
Smokey the bear.
Wrong. What phrase activates the Queen's mirror?
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
No. Remember, there are no rules.
I can look on my phone?
Yes.
Oh, well, that would have been easy. wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
but going on, we can do that. You ready? Where were fortune cookies invented?
I'm going to check.
San Francisco?
No.
It says San Francisco.
That's what the internet says.
It's sometimes good to check multiple sources.
Oh. Huh.
How many senses do humans have?
This is a 2015 article.
5.
Want to maybe double check that with another source?
Okay, it totally says 5.
You should have double checked.
Oh.
Possibly as many as 30 plus. That would indicate that it's to be determined.
You got it! Who famously said, I can see Russia from my house?
Oh, Sarah Palin. I don't even need to look. Sarah Palin.
Do you want to look it up? Take your time. We encourage it.
I don't know this source, so I don't know if I can trust it.
Double check.
Okay, actually, it says that it's Tina Fey.
Tina Fey said it?
Correct! Yes! Who famously claimed, I invented the internet?
Al Gore claimed to have invented the internet.
Did he say, quote, I invented the internet?
It says it's not actually true. So I'm going to say none of the above.
And you would be correct, correct, correct!
Yes!
Woohoo!
All right, let's do it.
Yeah! What did you take away from this?
You gotta fact check.
Check your facts and check them from a reliable source.
It always pays to double check and make sure you're correct.
So I think that's a helpful kind of way of looking at it, possibly. Any comments about that? Go ahead, Karen.
Well, I love a quote that I heard years ago from Satchel Paige. I was told it was Satchel Paige. I should look that up. But the quote was, it's not what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you do know that just ain't so.
Yeah, that's
So
very,
there
very
you
true.
are.
I like that. That's very good. Okay, so consuming a balanced media diet. This is one of the things that we talk about. So, we hear a lot about how we should have 5 fruits and vegetables a day, right? So, first of all, especially right now, people can raise their hand or wave their hand to the degree that I can see you. Are you feeling overwhelmed by what you're consuming on the media diet? I think my phone is going to die, okay, right now, because we have so much, right? Yeah, okay. So this is about thinking about why you're consuming it. So there's a lot of things in media. So that we can look for. We can be looking for news, in other words, facts. We can look for analysis. So trusted sources who maybe can make the facts, put the facts together in context. For example, I happen to like to read and listen to Heather Cox Richardson, who's a history professor out of Boston, who her specialty is the 19th century and her real specialty is the Republican Party. And she has a very expansive way of explaining politics and puts it in context for me. So I like to look at that because it helps me not have to look at all the little sources. And she cites all of her sources so I can go and look at the original article. So it's like a news aggregator for me. So news, analysis, opinion. There's nothing wrong with opinions as long as you know their opinions. Entertainment, another valid reason for looking at things, and advertising. one of the things that you'll see in the crash course, if you go and look at it, is a lot of times, even though it says paid subscription on there or paid advertising, they still look like news articles on your social media feed. And sometimes you don't realize you're reading an advertising piece when it's news. You have to pay attention to that. You also have to pay attention whether you're passively or actively engaged with the source. So if you are having cable news on, for example, as your background in your house, or you're listening to NPR or the BBC on the radio, and you're doing other things, you're still absorbing some of the information, but some of what you're absorbing is what's happening over and over again, what's happening on the crawler at the bottom of, say, the news screen, or when they say, and when we come back, we will talk about blah, blah, blah. And they don't talk about blah, blah, blah. They talk about all these other things. And then they say blah, blah, blah again. So you keep hearing that one sentence, but you're not getting the substance. So are you actively or passively engaged? Are you looking up your news sources, and are you looking at them? And this is something each of us has to decide for herself or himself or themselves about how we're going to consume it. So I'm going to tell you what I do. That doesn't mean that this is a rule for everybody. I stopped watching news on television probably around 2009, 2010. And I don't really even listen to news. I read all my news. And it's surprising the amount of stuff you can get reading. I read I read transcripts. And then if I want to consume something, either through my ears or through my eyes, I go and look at it, and I go and look for it. And I usually go and look for a source that doesn't have analysis on top of it. So I have the privilege of having the time to do that. Not everybody has that. Okay, so that means that that's how I do it. But each of us can decide how to consume that. And if I find myself getting agitated, I will back off from reading. So does that make sense as something that you can think about as a good thing to do? What about you guys? Do you guys have ways that you interact with news to make sure that you're getting a wide vision of what's happening? How do you do that? I know Amy, for example, does that a lot because she's a librarian. So she.
Well, I was going to say, I do actually look at, watch TV for news, but I will, excuse me, this is my 10th meeting of the day, or 10th Zoom, I should say. I actually look at a combination, but I have the privilege of being a librarian, so I get access to things most people don't. So I can go look at Al Jazeera and the London Times, both online and in print, that other people may not know. And actually, you all could have access to that through your local library, especially if you have a campus library, because you can come into the campus library if they're open because of COVID.
Yeah.
But go through and consume it that way and look at and get various viewpoints. So I try to look globally at how news is looked at.
Right.
As well as, but then I also, because I happen to be a Rachel Maddow fan, I like to watch her show and get analysis that way. But I also look at PBS and then listen to NPR and things like that.
Right. And and one of the things that I can say about this is that I haven't lost any friends on Facebook in the last 4 years. I would take somebody off my friend list if they were dehumanizing people, but if they don't, so I have friends across the political spectrum. And one of the things that I do is that some of them I go and look at their timelines and see what they're reading. And then I go and read what they read. And while I may not agree with what they read, I at least understand where that person is getting their news from. So that's also another good way of doing it. And somebody on Facebook said that they read press releases, and that is also like a really interesting way of doing it.